Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Wild Lavishness 4044 from the Relationship Advice subreddit and says, Fiance, male 30, called off our wedding a week before and left me, female 30, in complete confusion. So my ex-fiance, male 30, has cancelled our female 30 wedding a week before it taking place. We've been together for about 6 years and lived together for context. What happened basically was an argument that escalated. We were heading to my program graduation. It's a smaller event of about 10 students and some professors from a community college. On that morning, as we're getting ready, he would be okay to wear one of his button-ups instead of the shirt he had on, so we can get a nice photo. He was annoyed and snapped saying, "Why do I have to do things for others?" And I told him that he truly doesn't have to. I was just asking, but it's ultimately his choice. He ended up putting on the button-up and we arrived at the ceremony. Everything went fine and he was very happy for me. However, on the way home in the car, traffic was filling up and he was annoyed. I offered an alternate route that I know cut some time, and the exit to that route was coming up. He didn't take it, and I was slightly annoyed about it because he was cranky with me about traffic. So I asked why he didn't take it. He started full on yelling that my tone is rude and that he doesn't have to drive the way that I tell him to. I replied saying that I literally just asked and I don't actually care what route he takes. He was the one having a problem with traffic. He blew up and blamed me for getting him upset. When we got home, I apologized and explained that I didn't mean to come across as mean. I also said that screaming doesn't help in any situation and that we should talk instead. He basically explained that an apology doesn't solve anything and that he needs such things to not happen, otherwise he would continue exploding at me because that's the only time I listened to him. After a few hours, we spoke again. He apologized for yelling and I apologized for the miscommunication that happened. Despite resolving this, later that night, I was crying due to the fact that he so easily yells at me when he's upset. I was so upset that even on such an important day for me, I felt he picked fights. And to add to this, yelling is such a red flag for me. I never do that to him or anyone for that matter. The next morning, we were having breakfast and asked why I seemed so gloomy. I told him that everything's okay. I'm just processing what happened yesterday. He asked me to please share with him, so I told him that I felt like my special day was kind of ruined by fighting about things we could have easily resolved. He immediately just flipped and started getting angry again. He blamed me for the fights, and when I replied that I don't think it's fair to blame me, he got angrier and said that he can't do this, that I'm not a good communicator, and that he cannot get married like this. I was full on shocked. I thought he was talking out of emotion, like many times before. But this time he actually ended up sending a mass text to some guests to let them know the wedding is called off. I was flabbergasted at the quickness and so confused. We started arguing and then had to leave for our days. Later that day when we returned, I asked if this is truly something he wants, to call everything off, and he responded with a confident yes. What I thought was an action out of anger seemed to be solid for him. For the rest of the night and the next day, I tried fixing things between us. After many hours of talking and lots of crying from my end, he kept explaining that I don't communicate well and that this cancellation is my fault. I tried to offer some solutions, but he was full on with a decision to cancel and break up. I asked if we could give it another day or two to ensure that this is what he wants before we cancel the venue. He declined and asked to cancel the venue and vendors immediately, so we did. The next day I went on errands and then met with my friend. It was truly such a hard day and I was heartbroken, still digesting that this is happening. When I came home, he asked to talk and started crying that he regrets everything he said in the last days, that he didn't mean it. He was angry and didn't think straight. He said he will start therapy and wanted to do couples counseling now too, after I offered it many times. Anyway, he apologized profusely and kept asking if we can mend everything or whether he fucked up. I was almost sure that this regret would come, and honestly, maybe it was mean, but I said, yeah, you fucked up big time. You made a rash decision that hurt our relationship big time. There's no going back from here. He pretty much begged for another chance, but everything is cancelled and my trust is shattered. The wedding's supposed to be in 2 days. His aunt was supposed to be on the way to our house to help us pack decorations, and now there's no way we can schedule everything again, and frankly, I don't want to at this point. This is not the first he cancels plans or breaks up with me during a disagreement. Everyone is telling us that this is fixable, that clearly we love each other, so if we want, the situation doesn't have to be the end of the relationship. But I don't understand how. So much time, effort and money has gone into this wedding that's now done, and plus, more importantly, I can't trust him anymore. I don't know what to do at this point. We were supposed to go on a honeymoon right after, so now I'm thinking on going by myself. He asked if we can go together and spend that time to fix things, but I'm just questioning everything. I think I prefer going myself to do some soul searching. Should I call this quits and move on with my life, or take his word and start couples counseling? I love him with my entire heart, and we had so many loving experiences between us over the years. We didn't have any issues aside from such incidents, but I don't know whether it's actually possible to come back from this one. Thoughts? Advice? We had a similar story where the husband, kept leaving the wife and just walking out the house and disappearing for days at a time and then coming back and apologizing like this. And firstly, I'm incredibly sorry that you're having to deal with that, but secondly, there's a part of me, and this might sound a bit harsh, I'm glad for OP that this has happened now before they got married. This is red flags all over and not something that I would want to be a part of. I would, take those hints and run if I was you, but did the fabric tear says, like he yells at the drop of a hat. If he's annoyed by traffic, it's her fault. If she suggests a route home, he gets angry. He asks her why she's gloomy, and as soon as she answers, his immediate reaction, like a toddler, is to just crack it. And then he has the stones to say she isn't communicating. I mean, there's gaslighting, and then there's actually setting your partner on fire like this pine cone. Go on that honeymoon without him, or send him on it and use the time to pack your stuff and move out. This is not a person worth fighting for. You've just been given a get out of jail free card. Take it and run. Cuteness Aggression says, he breaks up with you when you fight. It's not stable or healthy. I'd recommend moving on from the relationship and finding one with someone who won't hold the relationship hostage every time you have an issue. You'll be amazed once you move on how much better a healthy relationship will be for you. So OP came in to update the post and says thanks to everyone for the comments and support. Since all this happened, he apologized profusely and offered to return the venue and still go and get married on the same day. He also offered couples counseling starting now and right after we get married, if I still want to. Additionally, he offered to go on the trip together to fix things. I declined to everything since the damage has been done, and I decided to go on the honeymoon myself while he packs all his items. He's going to start his own therapy journey while we're broken up. I don't know what's next, but this hurts so much because we still love each other. He's going to work on his mental health to address the impulsive actions when he's upset. He also realized it wasn't actually a communication issue, but rather how he felt attacked due to his own confidence. I appreciate his honesty, but can't see how it's possible to forgive what happened. Torn between trying couples counseling since he seems genuine to completely separating. And a couple of top comments from that one. First one says, move on. Count your blessings that you didn't get married to this person. As a hard rule, if a guy loses his temper for ridiculous reasons and keeps walking away, breaking up, or Jesus, cancelling a wedding by texting guests before you even finish discussing it, that's not husband material. He saved you a world of heartache. Move on. Choice Intention says, call it quits. He does things with the intention of hurting you or making you sad. I don't know where his resentment is coming from, but frankly, that's on him to figure out. He will deliberately hurt you in the future if you stay. He's not marriage material. He shouldn't be the father of your children because this behavior will escalate once kids are involved. And Realistic Airport says a healthy relationship is trust, honesty, respect, and open communication as a start. You state I can't trust him anymore. Your words feel like a true statement. Love is not enough. You're correct that he needs help and is likely better to do it without the extra pressure of a relationship. A long break, say 6 months, to really show he is able to work on himself, set goals, etc. At least set yourself free of being screamed at. That is also a choice you can make. And look, I'm glad that the fiance is seeking help from therapy to figure out what issues he's got going on in his mind. But I also hope that OP takes the right decision for themselves and gets themselves out of that situation. It's not a healthy relationship to be in my opinion. Like the commenter said, Messaging friends and family that the wedding's cancelled before actually having a discussion was huge red flags. But like I said, I hope he gets the help that he needs at the same time. Otherwise, this cycle continues in another relationship if that's what happens. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from FarAppearances from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, am I the arsehole here for telling my daughter to keep her Father's Day gift to herself because she hid her mother's affair from me for months? My ex-wife, 40 female, and I, 41 male, have been divorced for a year now because she had an affair. She herself confessed to her affair a year later and moved in with her affair partner, who she's also now married to. I was pretty distraught with the whole thing. We also have a daughter, 17 female. My daughter knew about the affair, but she told me she hid it from me because she didn't want to break up the family. It really hurt me that she hid it from me for so long, but I moved on. My daughter still apologizes for it, but I told her it's alright. My daughter today gave me a Father's Day gift, which was a handwritten letter and a gift. However, I was in no mood for gifts, so I told her to keep it to herself. My daughter seemed a bit shocked and she went to her room, and I think she was crying as she went to her room. Was I the arsehole? And in the comments on this one, MLK154 says, yes, in my opinion. You say you told her it's alright. You say you moved on. How do your actions live up to those words? At least be honest with yourself and then her. Either move on or don't, but don't say everything's alright and then not accept a gift from your daughter. Plus maybe factor in she's a kid and in a tough spot between her parents when you make some of these evaluations. Commenter replies to that and says, very few adults would have the courage to speak up in this scenario. Never mind a kid who probably didn't want to hurt her dad. She needs your grace and you need to show her how a person can move forward when life is difficult. You're the arsehole. Hot Mess Forever says, yes, sorry for what happened to you, but you're the arsehole. Can you imagine the position she was in? A child. Your child. She was afraid her home would break. Her nightmare came true. And you did this. You told her it's okay and then crapped on her as if it was her fault. Shame on you. I get this is still raw for you, but what about her? SMI replies that saying, seriously OP, you're the arsehole. You expect a 17-year-old teenager to choose between her mother and her father. She's probably scared she would have been hated by one of her parents. It's not her fault, like what the fuck? It was the mother's affair. She had nothing to do with it and probably needs support as well. Jesus, dude. Killer Whale replies to that and says they've been divorced for a year, so she found out 14 or 13? That's still middle school. A child shouldn't be in charge of their parents' marriage. You're the arsehole. And there was some comments from the other side as well, saying they'd never be able to trust the daughter again. Some people suggested they should cut his daughter from his life because she chose the mother over him, etc. I'm not sure how you guys are going to feel about this one, but I feel the same as some of the previous comments that, of course, that's absolutely going to devastate you discovering that your wife had an affair on you. Of course it's going to hurt. Of course it's going to hurt that you discovered your daughter knew about this and didn't say anything. But she was potentially 14 at the time, one of them comments said. With information she probably didn't know what to do with. Fucking hell, at 14 years old, I didn't know much about relationships and marriages and stuff like that. I just knew my parents loved each other. I wouldn't want our family to be destroyed. Couldn't imagine dealing with the feelings she had to in that moment. Incredibly difficult position, and in the end I think all you're going to do is damage the relationship with your daughter by doing this, which I'm sure that's not what you want. But OP came in with an update and says, just wanted to provide a quick update. I did feel guilty after rejecting my daughter's gift yesterday, and after reading a few comments it confirmed that I was an arsehole. I went to her room yesterday and apologized for everything. It really hurt me that I made her cry that much. I told her that I didn't mean it and we had a chat. I got the gift and the letter was really sweet and heartfelt and I thanked her. I felt really touched after reading it and I will preserve it forever. For the rest of the day I took her out on a shopping trip, and then in the evening we went to the theatres to watch a movie. She seemed very happy. At night we had one more serious chat where I told her it wasn't her fault at all. She said it still feels very guilty about hiding the whole affair from me. because even though she hated her mum for the affair, she was worried about exposing the affair because how the whole family would fall apart. I told her that she shouldn't feel guilty about anything, it's not her fault at all, and it's only her mum's fault. We then talked a bit about her mum, and she agreed that if there's one thing she learned from the entire thing, it's not to emulate her mum when she's an adult. I agreed and also told her it was unfortunate that she got such a mum. Dearie me. I told her we both need individual therapy to deal with a divorce and her mum's selfish actions, and my daughter was open to it, so we'll start looking for a therapist soon. Bloody hell. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's have one more story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit from ExpensivePin4926 and says, "Am I the arsehole here for leaving my best friend at the bar after she grabbed my plate and refused to give it back until I apologized? My friend, 24 female, and I, 24 female, have been friends for over 4 years. We call her Mia. This incident happened towards the end of February this year. Mia and I have decided to meet up for drinks and tapas to catch up, after we hadn't seen each other since the beginning of January. Everything was going well on the girls' day out until Mia started getting tipsy. I'd shown her a picture of the Valentine's Day setup my boyfriend had done for me 2 weeks prior. I don't really post on socials anymore, so this was her first time seeing it. Her whole aura completely changed. The conversation started getting confrontational, and Mia asked why I had not been checking up on her and how I'd been putting our friendship on the back burner. She accused me of not being able to balance her boyfriend and my friendships. To add more context, when I'd seen Mia in January, it was during her stay at a mental health center. She had mentioned needing a breather, so I picked her up from the facilities and we went to a spa day by the beach. After this day, our WhatsApp conversations were sparse, with me checking if she's alright and vice versa. Early February, I had a familial issue. I was dealing with and completely went quiet on all my acquaintances and friends. This was excluding my boyfriend, who I basically live with at this point. I'm guessing she saw the Valentine's Day pictures and thought, clearly you were present enough to celebrate that. Back to the girls' day out. Her mood is now completely flipped. She grabs the plate of food I'm eating from and says, "You're not getting this until you explained why you abandoned me." Mind you, the people around us at the bar are looking at us now. I tell her this is very immature, send her my portion of the bill and leave. She calls me multiple times after I leave and texts asking, "What's up?" She eventually sends a text a couple of days later apologizing for her behavior. I guess my mistake was responding to the text 4 days later accepting the apology, because we have not spoken since. To me in this one, it feels like two things are happening here. One, she's jealous of your relationship and that, you're cracking on with life. And two, and it may be just the way that the post was written, but it just felt like the friendship is very one-sided anyway. You put in the effort, she doesn't, but then gets angry at you because you're not. Friendships go both ways. You both have to put in the effort for those friendships. So I kind of feel like her not speaking to you now, which I guarantee the text will come at some point anyway, but her not speaking to you now is a bit of a blessing in disguise, and I would enjoy that peace while you can. But Toffee Tea and Coffee says, "Not the arsehole. And I wouldn't have sent her money for the food, but I have a huge problem with people taking food from me while I'm eating. This was over the top reaction from Mia." Dryad says, "Not the arsehole. Honestly, not speaking sounds like a good outcome here. I wish you hadn't sent her money for the food she stole from you, but hey, hindsight. She's not acting reasonable here. When people go off the rails like this, previous agreements go out the window, and that is their own fault. You don't share a ride home with someone who grabs your plate and refuses to give it back until you give a proper apology for abandoning them. And by abandoning, we here mean dealing with a family issue for a few weeks, which, you guessed it, is not abandoning anyone. You walk away. Well done you." Now the commenter says, "Not the arsehole. Everyone else has said it. I'm going to add a potentially unpopular opinion. If your friend is taking medications at all for mental health problems, she really shouldn't be drinking, especially this soon after her stay. Or mental health and alcohol are a terrible mix that only causes pain and regret. If you guys are able to move forward, maybe restrict your outings to safer spaces for everyone. Also, it seems like she wasn't going to apologize initially. It sounds like your friend had to be pushed and ignored into apologizing to you for her behavior. I'd watch that pattern of behavior in your friendship. And there was a few other comments talking about the mental health side of things, especially as it mentioned in the post, she came out of a mental health center. So, there's a strong possibility, something to do with a medication, alcohol mixing with a medication at the same time. There could be many different routes why that happens. So a lot of people suggesting to OP, if you do want to keep the relationship, because she might need you, not that you owe her your friendship or anything like that, but if you do want to keep the friendship, then just have those clear boundaries set up, have a discussion about it, etc. OP responded to those saying, "Thank you for this response. I truly miss her and I thought about reaching out. Most of the time her date suggestions involve drinking, but it's clearly not a good mix." But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in the stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day. Okay, I know that today'll be a good day.